Alright guys, Dmvdrakes here with Dorian, Mr. Cross himself.
Hello. Alright, so I'm going to be profiling the Crossheart deck today for BT-12. We're going to start it off with 4 copies of BT-10 Pikmin. I don't really think I need to explain this one too much, as Pikmin is one of the draw cards from this deck. Run it as a 4 of.
He's your sword.
He is the sword. I do like that. I wish the art was him like forming the sword, but you don't really need to. You don't want to run the BT-5 Pikmin. I did test that. It ends up messing up like ratios for save and stuff. Next, I run 4 copies of BT-10 Shoutmon. I don't need to explain the rush.
Explain it.
Okay, giving your cards rush when you cross into them, being able to play for 4, maybe 3 if you have enough Zendros out, and being able to pull 1 Crossheart card and 1 Tamer, or is it 1 with save? No, okay, 1 Crossheart card and 1 Tamer. It's really good for this deck. It's one of the like 4 or 5 search cards. Next is 4 copies of BT-10 Starmon. It's just another draw card. It's a quick, easy Evo, and it's a nice 3 play cost if you need to choke your opponent on memory. Also, one thing I've noticed is like across a couple of the regular arts, they're all on the same stage. So I'm just gonna point that out.
That was the most cross thing I've ever heard you say.
Thank you. Next, we got 4 copies of BT-10 Sparrowmon. BT-10 Sparrowmon, I really like in this deck, other than being necessary, is that it's always going to be at 5k DP, as long as you have anything with Crossheart on the field. So as long as you have at least 1 Tamer, it'll be 5k on all turns, as well as save. Need that for this deck, as well as its inheritable reboot for any Shoutmon or Mervamon card. I haven't really used the reboot effect with Mervamon too much. I mostly use it with Shoutmon, but that has been very clutch in situations where I need to reboot and block. Next is our first spicy tech. I like to run 1 copy of BT-11 Starmon and Star Sword, solely because when you cross into Shoutmon Cross 7's Superior mode, it's another different number of cards you can add in there, as well as its on-play effect, where you can one of your opponent's Digimon will lose 3k DP, and if there's a Digimon on the field with 2k DP or less, it'll be deleted. And then you can also decrease the cost from 5 to 3 if you have enough sources for it, so I like that combination. Moving on to the level 4s, we have 4 copies of Digimon. If you notice in the background, it has the stage background that I will be referencing once again. Bam, next. Same stage. I'm going to keep doing it. The on-play effect for it, I like a lot because it is just a quick, easy way to like pop a rookie. That could be a floodgate, especially Psychomon. I've run into a lot of problems with those. Its inheritable is also really good, where it will give your opponent's security minus 2k when you swing into it, so that makes your cross 4s, cross 3s, cross 5s more likely to survive, as well as it's playable by Akari, which is a great combination because you can play an Akari, play
That's
the fun
time.
That is the fun time.
You get to do Kari off.
And then like trigger the draw +1 effect. Next, we have the 4 copies of BT-10 Ballistamon. One thing I'm going to keep referencing. Same stage. That's right, Joe. Ballistamon's best thing about this is it has blocker, which is like one of the few easy to play blocker cards in this deck, as well as an inheritable of piercing, so that makes it easier for your like cross 5s and your cross 7s and 7 superior modes to delete something high and survive, as well as it's playable by the BT-10 Zendro, so that just makes it easier to get out. So you can play for 2, play the Zendro for 3, play the Ballistamon, suspend the Zendro, gain them back, get them both out for 2
so
memory.
Omnishout can have piercing too?
Yes, Omnishout can have piercing. Yeah, you can.
Anything with Shout, right?
Anything with Shoutmon in its name can have piercing. It has the same specifications in its inheritable as most things in this deck. Has to have Shoutmon. So anything with Shoutmon in it will get the piercing effect, which is really good for like some of the unsuspected plays. Where mine gets a little different is I play 3 copies of Shoutmon Cross 3 from BT-11. I've seen this number vary from 3 to 4. I like it at 3, so I have the 4th Cross 4 in here. But this is it is a really good search card that this deck desperately needed when it got updated to BT-11, because this allows it to grab Crossheart and Blue Flare cards, which you really need to do when you grab the Z Greymon from BT-11 to make your to make your Shoutmon Cross 7. Next, we have the one copy of Shoutmon Cross 4 because it was hit by the restriction hammer. The fact that you can play this, swing to security, and then if it lives, kill it to put all the sources underneath the tamer and unsuspend a tamer, really made this deck super powerful for a while, which is why I see why they hit it. I'm not a fan of the hit, but I get it. It was really strong for the time that it came out. Next, we've got our one copy of Shoutmon King version for BT-10. It's mainly in here just to be another source for Cross 7, as well as just to pull a cross card from the trash, as well as it can act as a material for that card when you pull it up. I've never explicitly done that, but you can do it, and you can save the materials that you cross from it. Next, we have our next King version from BT-12. This is the new King version of Shoutmon. I only run him at a 1-of, just because if I ever have the Taiki in hand, I can hard play this or Digivolve this on top of any card with save in the deck, which there's a lot of level 3s in here, and play a Taiki for free just to get the deck rolling further. And if I really need to, I can slot this into like Cross 7 Superior mode and pop a 4K DP or less from the save inheritable. Actually, the inheritable will not go off. It does not have save, so it's just a Taiki play card. Next, I have two copies of Shoutmon Cross 5 from BT-10. This is one of the best cards in the deck just because you can play it for free if you have all the sources. And it's got Sec +1 blocker, and with all the inheritables from the other cards, it'll have Reboot, Piercing, Rush. You'll be able to draw, and then you'll also be able to drop their security by 2 KDP.
Material Save 3 is also good.
Material Save 3 is also really good. It really just makes it easier to save all your cards, to do it again to them. Then I've got two copies of BT-11 Omni Shoutmon. I've thought about running him at higher. I did run him at higher in my BT-11 version of this deck, but since we are trying to shift away from just hard dropping Cross 7 all the time, I had to drop him down. He still comes up, not as useful, just good because his name counts as Shoutmon, so he can be used to cross into like Cross 3 and Cross 4 to get the searches and the draws. And his inheritable of Sec +1 is really good for early aggression or game finishing if you have the Cross 7 Superior mode combo, which I will explain later. The next card is going to be two copies of BT-11Z Greymon. This is the blocker. This is the card that gives blocker to Cross 7 and Cross 7 Superior mode. I don't really use the when Digivolving effect because I don't Digivolve into him, but I run him at a 2-of because same with Omni Shot, I'm not trying to see him all the time, and he's specifically for Cross 7 and higher crosses. Then a spicy tech for Cross 7 is I run a Shoutmon DX at 1. You can cross into him to stun a Digimon and pop an 8K or less, but I don't really do that. I mostly just save him. I put him under the new BT-11 White Tamer set and just save him for later. The next set, we have two copies of BT-11 Shoutmon Cross 7. You don't really need to... With this, alright, with this card, you really need to, this card's best thing is that you can just pop anything that is equal DP or lower, and because it gains 1k DP from every 2 cards in its sources, it'll quickly hit up to 16, and that DP is on every turn. So he'll at best be a 2-drop 16k DP blocker that has Rush, Sec +2, Piercing, Reboot. So he's really good game finisher or just mid-game aggression, which is what I like to use him for, depending on the deck. Next, we've got the big boy from BT-12. We got two copies of Cross 7 Superior mode. This card has come in clutch so many times, especially when I play decks like Machine Dramon or other big stack decks, because of the on-play effect of bottoming all the sources and then bottoming the top card, as well as being able to make this essentially for free. If you have a Shoutmon on the field, it actually counts for 2 of the 15 play costs because it's one and then another, and then that allows you to pull it from trash, which is what I really like to do, and I just drop it, wipe the board, and then finish it with the finisher, which is the Cross 7, which is the final Crossblade It allows you to pop a Digimon if something wasn't popped, and then unsuspend, cross 7, and swing it again, which is what I like to do a lot for game finishes. And with all the drawing that this deck does, it's very likely to be in your hand by the time you actually do that. Next, we're going to move on to the Tamers. We run 4 copies of the BT-10 Taiki. This is a no-brainer. It's your main search. It allows you to do most of your crosses. You put one underneath, or Taiki, you put one in your hand. You do need to worry about him being popped by Tamer deletion effects, so that's just something you have to worry about, but with the other Tamers in this deck, you don't have to worry about that too much. Next, we got 2 copies of BT-10 Akari. She allows us to play the Darulamon, and then when your Digimon is on played, really just suspend her, draw one, so you don't really need to explain that too much. Just makes it easier to play the deck, especially if you're playing decks like BT, like Black War Gray, where you really want to play from the hand more instead of playing from the Tamer sources, since they will just keep popping your Tamers. Then we got 2 copies of BT-10 Zenjiro. This allows you to play the Darulamon, not Darulamon, the Ballistamon, and then when you play a Digimon, you can gain a memory. So that will just really facilitate more of your plays, make crosses for cheaper, like cross 3 and cross 4. Instead of for 1, it'll be for free, and then make cross 7 easier to get out. And then the last cards in the deck is
Best card.
the best cards in this deck. These have won me many games for their. What they do is 3 copies of BT-11 Taiki Kirya Nene. It's a 4-drop card, but you can place a cross card or a blue flare card underneath of it to gain 1 memory and draw 1. And it also counts. It is really
It's cracked.
And then it also counts as a Tamer suspension for when you need to cross into cards. So yeah, that is the Cross Heart deck for BT-12.
All right. What do you think is your most important deck?
The most
cross.
So it's probably going to be the trio right there.
As I said, best card in the deck.
It really is. And then one card that I have been like seeing a lot of play of recently is this Shotmon Cross 3. It's a searcher. One effect that I always forget, which I did forget to cover earlier, is that you can actually pop it at the start of your turn to gain a memory, which in a couple of my matches earlier today would have been the like saving grace, because I could have popped it, gotten the sources back, got the memory, and would have been able to hit my opponent with a nice wombo combo.
Yep. All right. So catch us out in the next one. Thanks, Dorian.
Thank you.
See you all in the next one. Like, subscribe.